Hey everybody, Andrew Edwards here from GearLive.com, and today in this Ask Andrew video, we're going to be answering a question about the iPad. Someone has it's a complaint, it's a question, and it's, I think, pretty valid. Now, it's not about the latest iPad, which we actually have here, the third generation model, but it's actually something that's plagued, I think, every iPad from the beginning. The first one released 2 years ago in 2010, the iPad 2, and now the third generation model. So let me read the question for you here. It says, I love my new iPad, but I wish it were louder. It seems that everything about the new iPad is high quality, with the exception of the speaker. Is there any way I can get more volume out of this thing? And first, before I get to the answer, I gotta say I agree. The iPad in general is pretty. It's not the best for listening to content, whether it's music, whether it's TV shows, movies, videos, YouTube, whatever. I mean, it's decent, it's okay, but there's quite a few times where honestly I can't really hear it that well, and I have the volume cranked up at max levels. So let's talk about some things you can do to make it a little easier to hear it. And now let me just say right off the bat, these are not going to be the perfect solution. I mean, because it is what it is. It's a device with a speaker that isn't great, and so anything we do to try to enhance that is going to be, an add-on, or it's not going to be, it's not going to just make things louder and make it perfect. So let's talk about some of these things. First thing you can do, if you're a jailbreaker, if you're a pro user, if you want to take the plunge and jailbreak, just go ahead and jailbreak. That'll put Cydia on your iPhone, and then you can go in. Cydia is kind of like the App Store, but for jailbroken apps. Download something called Volume Booster. Volume Booster 4.0 is the latest version of Volume Booster. And what that does is it basically removes the restriction that the iOS devices have on them as to how loud they'll go. So if you could imagine if there was a dial going from 0 to 10, and you just couldn't crank it any higher than 10, this kind of lets you keep going past 10, removing the limit that's set by the device itself, by Apple. There are some downsides to this, though. There might be some distortion in the way the sound comes out at you. You could possibly, I don't know how likely it is, but you could possibly damage your speakers. I mean, going higher than is recommended could damage your speaker, who knows. And also, you're jailbreaking your device. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing illegal about it. But when you jailbreak your device, you're pretty much locking yourself in to that revision of the software until the next version of the software has also been jailbroken. So for example, iOS 5.0 is jailbroken. You can use that, but iPhone users and iOS or iPad users rather that are on iOS 5.0 can't upgrade to 5.1 yet, because that has not been jailbroken, and therefore any features that they would want to use in iOS 5.1 they can't use until that gets figured out, and that can take months sometimes. So there are downsides and upsides to it, but at the end of the day, it would make it louder. Now, would it make it loud enough to, listen to? I don't know, because again, we have the new model, and it ships with iOS 5.1, and that's not jailbroken yet. So I haven't been able to test it on this model, but I do know that Volume Booster 4.0 does work. Now, some other things you can do. This one's a little easier. You buy an accessory. There are accessories, there are cases out there that you can put the iPad into, or that you can clip onto it. Now let's just bring this back up. So here, the speaker grill, where we go, there it is. Speaker grill's right there. There's a clip you can buy that basically clips on and goes over it, and it just stays, just in this section of the iPad, and it basically pipes the music towards you, because as you can see, if I'm watching something or listening to something, the speaker's facing away from me and it's pointed away from me, so that sound's really going out into the room and not really coming towards me, and you can actually add on. And to test this, use your hand. Your hand's free, doesn't cost anything. Cup that hand, and while you're watching something, just put it over the speaker grill like so, and you'll notice right away that it sounds fuller and richer and louder. And take your hand away, and it doesn't anymore. You put it back, and it'll come back. So I mean, if you want to always watch your content like this and like that, you can, but you can also buy something that just clips on there and does that for you. And there's one called Volume. That's the actual name of the device. The accessory is called Volume. It'll clip on. There's also cases. Any case that you see, the cases are either going to have a cutout on back for the speaker grill, which won't help you, or they won't, but then they'll have a little space at the bottom of the case and that's to actually allow the noise to come through. And any case that does that, that covers the speaker grill and has a a pass through for the sound, will also do the same thing. It'll have the same effect for you. So you might want to look into those cases, and you can go into Amazon, search for iPad volume boost case or anything like that. Again, the volume accessory works well. But if you don't want a case on your iPad, it can be annoying. And who wants to have a clip that just clips on there and stays right there? I know I don't. I don't want to have to carry it around. I don't want to risk losing it all the time and things like that. So it's a solution that does work. It will make it louder, but it's, again, not the most elegant, if you want to put it that way. Speaking of not the most elegant, there are some other things you can do as well. These won't change the volume on the iPad at all, but it makes it easier to hear the content. For example, you can pick up a Bluetooth speaker, Bluetooth loudspeaker. They're wireless. They connect to the device over Bluetooth. And while you're watching content, whether it's movies, TV shows, YouTube, a couple taps on the iPad and it'll send the volume, send the audio from the iPad to the Bluetooth device. And now you're listening to it through a much better speaker. For example, the Jawbone Jambox. It's a good example of a speaker you can buy that works nicely. You just have that. It's small, it's compact, it's portable. You can throw it in a backpack. You can take it with you. Keep it on your desk. Those are easy, but they're not the cheapest. So a small $20 accessory versus $100 or more for some of these speaker devices. Something to think about. Next, you can get an AirPlay device like the Apple TV. There's AirPlay speakers out there that do similar things to the Bluetooth speakers we just mentioned. Or you can get an Apple TV. Hook that right up to your home entertainment system. Hook it up to your TV. And again, a couple taps while you're listening or watching something on the iPad. And you're sending that audio, sending that video even to your television. And it's coming through your, either your TV speakers or your home entertainment speakers. And that makes it really easy to hear things. But again, you're not watching the content on the iPad. It's not making any changes to the sound that's coming out of here. It's just piping it through another system, which is probably isn't what you want to do all the time. But still, it's an option. And of course, one of the very inexpensive options is just to grab a pair of headphones, whether they're earbuds, on ears, over ears, whatever is good, feels good to you. Again, they're not. Some of them are cheap, some of them aren't. Especially finding ones that really fit you and sound the way you want them to. That can get expensive too. But that's kind of the price we pay for the thinness of this thing. I mean, you look how thin the iPad is. You think about it, it's really hard to fit a substantial speaker in there. And I believe it's the same speaker that's shipped in the iPad 2 as well. So, one thing we just got to hope for is that when the next year's iPad comes out, which is going to be 2 years from the iPad 2, hopefully that 2 years time period, results in enough technology advancement to where they've gotten a better speaker they can put in there. Whether they keep the same size. Apple does like to go thin. Just give us something better, even if they put 2 in their stereo speakers, whatever it is, to make that better sound for next iPad, because they're not going to be able to do much with the screen anymore. I mean, the screen on the new one is gorgeous, and I'm going to assume they're going to stick with that for at least 2-3 years, if not more. So, one thing they could improve is the sound, and sound definitely needs it. So that's my advice. If there's anything I forgot, anything I didn't know about, anything I didn't think of, please comment. Hit me on Twitter at Andrew Edwards, Facebook.com/Andrew if you're on Facebook. Comment on GeekWire, comment on YouTube. Go ahead and check us out. YouTube.com/GearLive. I've got a bunch of videos on it, hundreds of videos on YouTube. And the Ask Andrew series is really going to be more where I answer your questions. So if you have any questions for me about anything technology related, whether it's hardware, software, internet, social networking, whatever it is, send your questions to askandrew@gmail.com. We'll answer them. We'll get a video up. We'll get an article up on GeekWire, up on GearLive.com, and really push the answers out there. And again, we want to make this social. We want to hear back from you guys as well. Let me know. What did I miss? What did I not think about? So let us know. Andrew Edwards from GearLive.com, Editor-in-Chief. Thanks a lot.